DJ LeRoy.
My man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. How was the week?
Week was good.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I definitely have to say, we did have a real tragic incident occurring out of the 32nd precinct. So I definitely want to say, I'm totally, like I said, sending thoughts and prayers to the families of those two fallen officers. We just wish Godspeed, man.
Absolutely.
Man, oh man. So
Mhm.
this evening, we're going to have a nice discussion about some more of the small business resources and incentives that are out there for the small business community.
Well,
What do you
let's
think
let's
about
let's
that?
let's frame it a little bit. So,
Okay.
you know, 2021 was the year. A lot of people called it the Great Resignation because more and more people left their jobs. But what most people don't talk about is also the great small business incubation because
Mm,
many of those people decided that they are no longer satisfied with the corporate environment and wanted to jump out on their own and start their own small business and hopefully have more control over their time, over their lives. And so I thought this show was really appropriate for us because we've got folks who are experts in small business development, and I think you've put together a great lineup. So let's, without hesitation, let's bring them out.
all right. Well, the first guest I'm going to bring up is Miss Gina Ramsharan. She's the chief idea curator at Idea Manufacturer. I know her because she's provided some of the serious one-on-one counseling when she was at HBA, Harlem Business Alliance, at 275 Malcolm X Boulevard. But also, right there, she was the program director and architect for the Lillian Project, Harlem's first business incubator for African American women. Hey, Gina.
Hi, hey Curtis. How are you?
Good, good. Uh, and you know what, Bob? We are in the midst of some real royalty here. She is just great peeps here. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hi,
So,
Bob.
Welcome to Soul Lounge Primetime.
so
Thank you both.
thank you. Now, Hamil Douglas is the president and CEO of Harlem Commonwealth Council, where he oversees the firm's daily operations. Yes. And prior to joining HCC, Hamil worked for Archimedes Alpha U.S. Trust, Bank of America Private Wealth Management. I know him that, and I was impressed when I first met him that he knew all of the history here in Harlem and where some of the bodies are actually buried. So, well, hey, Hamil, how you doing, man? Good evening.
I'm doing well. Good evening. Good to be with you guys. Looking forward to the conversation, and hopefully we'll get some of those bodies unburied.
Oh man, oh man. Well, first off, please, Gina, tell me about your journey because I do also know that you are an entrepreneur yourself. Tell me your journey and experience there at HBA and beyond.
Well, after a career in corporate retail for over 2 decades, I decided to make the leap to permanent entrepreneurship. I had been counseling folks from the sidelines for the longest, and the opportunity presented itself. So I went full time entrepreneur. First liaison was with the Harlem Business Alliance. And since then, the nonprofit side of our business has grown. We work with the New York Urban League as well as the Citizens Committee for New York City, both helping them scale their business model.
Okay, very good, very good. Hamill, do tell me about yours.
Sure. My background, I always get a kick of kind of defining myself as a reform banker. I started my career here in New York City at the old Chase Manhattan Bank and their training program. Did ran a retail branch for a while out in Queens. Came back into Manhattan, work on the lending side for a number of years. Then had the opportunity to go overseas with a large European bank, ABN AMRO, which is now RBS. Came back to the U.S. With three people instead of one because I got married in the interim. I had two kids born overseas and came back to the States, lived in Chicago for a while where I completed my MBA, and then got kind of restless, came back to New York and started a career at Merrill Lynch, which, in the financial instability of 2008, everything got jumbled. Merrill bought a number of companies. Well, Bank of America bought Merrill, so I ended up at Bank of America. I did a lot of stuff for companies here in Harlem. I got to know a lot of the players, and Harlem has always been kind of close to what I wanted to do. So as my kids got older, I was kind of semi-retirement mode. I came across a gentleman who worked at HCC at that time, and I volunteered to come in and help. And one thing led to another. So they asked me to join the firm. I came on board in 2019, and was very impressed with what they were doing, and we just try to scale the business up. So we did pretty well during the last pandemic years, and looking forward to doing a lot better in the coming years, because a lot of these businesses that have suffered during the pandemic, we got to get these people back up and running to full fledged. So here we are.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know what, Night
So
Watchman? We have, I believe,
yes,
been joined by Miss Irene Dominguez. And
that is
sure enough,
Hi.
hey, she is, of course, the director of business services at the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. Hey, Irene, how you doing?
Good. Good to see you, Curtis. Thank you for inviting me. Good to see
Absolutely,
everybody.
absolutely. So,
See you,
Irene,
Irene.
please do tell us your journey in terms of the space of small business resources, lending, because I remember you when you had your tenure at Axion. So
Yeah.
please do tell.
Yeah, it was a very surprising encounter with small business owners. This was long ago. What you're mentioning for Axion, it was Axion New York at the time. It has
Mm-hmm.
gone through a lot of transformations since then. It is currently Ascendus. They are still
Mm.
doing lending to small businesses. But what I was doing at the time, I was here to study. I studied social sciences here in the US because I come from Ecuador originally. And I studied social sciences, and I was very into microfinance at the time.
Mm.
You might remember that was the time when Mohammed Yunus from India was just very, or Bangladesh, I'm sorry, maybe. But he was very well known, and he was, this idea of microfinance was taking hold worldwide. And Axion New York was doing microfinance at the local level in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the interest of microfinance, I ended up working for Axion New York, and it was a really um, positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
That organization at the time was really modern in the way in its practices. That was one of the things that was interesting about it.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we all had there were about 40 people in the organization, and we all had our own little flip phones and our own laptops, and we would go visit business owners. My role was to provide technical assistance, what they call technical assistance, which is just help the business owners in whatever they needed. These were business owners mostly that had gotten, of course, the microloans from Axion New York.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my team, we were going to help them be able to formalize the business to a degree that next time they did not need a microloan from a nonprofit organization, that they could go to the banking sector.
Mm.
But what was beautiful about Axion, Curtis, you may remember, was just the energy that the place had. Staff was relatively young, and the beauty of it was very diverse as well. We were serving different communities in New York City, and we had to serve the community in Harlem. We had to
Mm-hmm.
serve people who spoke French, people who
Mm-hmm.
spoke Spanish, and that's why a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us were Hispanic
Mm-hmm.
who were
Mm-hmm.
hired there. The diversity really helped, I think, build that exceptional culture that Axion New York had. And the diversity also in our partners. I think you and I
Yes.
worked together at the time. And a
Yes.
lot of people that I met at the time are still in the small business area. I left the small business world for a little,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm back and happy to be back since 2021. And I can
You-
tell you more, but I just don't want to take too much time.
well, welcome back. Welcome back, Irene. And you know what? One of the things that kind of like spurred this particular conversation is that, Gina, you mentioned something. You mentioned, which I rarely use, you mentioned something about a G, a grant. Can you tell
Yeah.
us can you tell us about that?
The Citizens Committee for New York City launched a small business grant program in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. It's called the Neighborhood Business Grant, or as we affectionately call it, NBG in house. The wonderful thing about this particular grant that makes it unique is it has to have a community link to it. So any business that applies must be able to show how their business impacts the community. And in last year in the grant cycle, we were able to give out over $400,000 to 50 businesses in the 5 boroughs. I would say most received a $10,000 ceiling, the $10,000 ceiling grant, and it has been amazing. We were able to underwrite reconfiguring spaces, buying additional PPE, helping to train in-house staff with how to conduct themselves with their customers and keep themselves safe in the current environment and more. It's been awesome, and that grant is open right now at citizensnyc.org.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know what? And you said something wonderful. So now we're not necessarily looking at funding, let's say, rent, utilities.
Right.
But if I needed a build out for let's say my studio or something, that's what the funds could actually go for.
Absolutely, without a doubt. We can't dictate how to use the funds. We really try not to do that, but we do ask people to avoid funding general overhead entries such as rent and utilities because we really want to see the grant stay in the business.
Beautiful, beautiful. For our listening audience, please note that you saw that tag right there, citizennyc.org. Okay, remember that. And not to be outdone, now, Hamil, please, I need you to tell me about a cohort that actually is happening with you guys there at HCC. Do tell.
Sure. Well, we have a number of initiatives that are ongoing to help small businesses in our marketplace, which is Harlem, up from Manhattan and the Bronx. Uh, Gina mentioned a grant. We don't have a grant program currently, but we have a very low interest rate COVID-19 loan that was supported by Wells Fargo, where we're giving loans up to $15,000 for 5 years at 1%. So you're talking pretty much about free money, and that money can be used for anything. Uh, you know, in your business, working capital, equipment purchases, so on and so forth. Uh, we're also looking to be approved in relatively short order by the SBA to provide microloans of up to $50,000 to, again, our marketplace. And those loans are going to be very streamlined with very quick approval processes. So, we always believe that access to capital is one of the reasons why we're so committed to what we're trying to do in Harlem. And along with that access to capital, we also provide a lot of technical assistance programs to help folks once they get these funds to kind of really plan how they're going to allocate it throughout their businesses. So, and on top of that, we also have our regular loan programs where, depending on the borrower, we can lend up to $250,000 at various rates of interest to support whatever initiatives they're doing, either startups or expansion, so on and so forth. So, we're here, we're committed, and we're looking to expand. So hopefully we will be able to attract and retain a number of borrowers. As you know, we're also a PPP lender for the program just concluded, where we put quite a bit of money out. And we're encouraging borrowers who got those PPP loans to, kind of submit their forgiveness applications so they can get those loans forgiven and get their businesses up and running.
Excellent, excellent. And Irene, you definitely have to tell us about New York Women's Chamber of Commerce and some of the incentives or programs that you guys have available to the small business community.
Sure. And I must say, I appreciate what just Gina and Hamil said. Access to capital is one of the things that people really need. It is our experience as well. We do our intake. We ask them, what do you need? What are your what are you looking for? And yes, businesses have a variety of needs, but access to capital is commonly one. We
Mhm.
have been focusing mostly, as you know, on the state grant, the grant that the state has out right now, the Small
Uh-huh.
Business Recovery Grant. Since it's a grant, as long as people do qualify, we try to get them through that one.
Mhm.
We've been focusing on that one in 2021 and now as well. I don't know if you want me to talk a little bit about that grant, but
Yeah,
I'll just
tell us a little about it.
yeah, I'll just say briefly about the basics. The businesses, in order to qualify for this grant, in this that's from the state of New York, there are $800 million on the table to give out to small businesses, and the priority is given to small businesses owned by minorities or
Mhm.
women, and so that's really our population. And they've given already 400, a little more than 400 million, but there's still money on the table. So I encourage anybody listening, any of your listeners, to that if they believe they're interested or they could apply, to consider it.
Where should they apply?
For the they could call us. Um, they could also go to the state, but I just don't want to make a mistake in the phone number, so I'm gonna or you have it.
Oh, you know, I
Yeah,
know, two one
you
two
know it.
four
Yes.
nine one 9640. That is the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, and you should ask for Irene.
Irene or Steve or
Mm.
Esteban, if you speak Spanish. We're all doing that, and mainly you would have to be in the state of New York. Your business must be in the state of New York. Your business must have been in operation before March 2019, which is one of the reasons sometimes that people don't qualify. It has to have been already existing since March 2019, and also um, there must the taxes. So one of the things, the first thing that we're going to look at, and we are only the messenger, we are just facilitating these grants. It is the state that gives the money, and there is a company called Lendistry that administers it. But what we do is we look at your taxes, because everything is based on your taxes. So you would have to provide 2019 and 2020 taxes. There must be a net profit reflected in the 2019 taxes. And then our calculations must show a loss from the pandemic, so from 2019 into 2020, of at least 25%. There are other eligibility criteria. I just don't want to get into all of it. But if you have those two, if you feel your business complies with those two, you're giving it a shot and contacting us.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
yeah.
You know what, Gina, I want to
Mhm.
ask because not only was what's that the Citizens NYC or Committee for NYC, but also I remember the New York Urban League. So do tell me about what's happening there.
Also, the Small Business Solutions Center is new at the New York Urban League. Other satellite offices of the Urban League have had entrepreneurship centers, so we're excited to launch new programming for the five boroughs through NYUL. We just completed something called the Back Office Initiative, where we deployed 12 amazing, brilliant consultants and um, to small businesses across the five boroughs who were
Hmm.
able to really help penetrate issues within those businesses and put them back on track. Currently, with everything that's happening, and we've been talking about existing businesses. This is also a great time for business creation.
Mm.
And within the Black community, especially, we can use some extra business creation because our businesses have been decreasing in greater New York City prior to the pandemic. That said, the New York Urban League has launched Black Business Matters. And you can find more information about the Black Business Matters Business Plan Writing Intensive at nyul.org. There is a $5,000 prize for the best business plan, and that comes with a 10-week immersive. It's amazing. There'll be expert speakers, guidance, technical assistance, one-to-one counseling. It's going to be a game changer. It's going to be really good.
Wow,
Yeah,
very nice.
yeah. It
And
kicks off February 21, so folks need to get their applications in. There is a panel of judges that will judge the applications for the 25 limited seats for that
Wow.
immersive. Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Very good.
Night Watchman, I got to give you some props here. You really, really are an excellent typist. I see. You know, able to get the stuff out quickly there.
Um, we're not supposed to talk about how the sausage is made. That all happens behind the curtain. Pay no attention.
well, well. One of the things that Gina mentioned, Hamill,
Yeah.
was a business solution center. Now, I do understand that HCC has two in Upper Manhattan. Tell us about the business solution centers.
Yes, we do. We have one in our headquarters building here at 125th Street, and we have another in Washington Heights. And
Mm,
those are great resources for the community. We provide a wide range of services where potential business owners, can come in and speak with someone to talk about whatever issues they have, including MWBE certification,
mm,
uh, writing a business plan, developing a
mm,
marketing plan. So depending on what the subject is, we have an expert, so to speak, to address those issues, and that's been very very helpful to us as well as a referral source to HEF.
mm-hmm.
Some folks may have heard about the Small Business Solution Center, but not have heard of HEF. And when they're in the building, it says, "Oh, let's learn about what HEF does." So it's a very good resource in terms of referrals. We've gotten some good business opportunities from both those centers here in our building and in Washington Heights. Uh, we're currently now in a little bit of a standstill stage until the new administration gets going.
Mm-hmm.
The new small business commissioner, we're looking forward to getting a meeting with him to kind of continue the dialogue about how important it is to support small businesses in Harlem and surrounding communities. And, have no reason to doubt that, whatever support we received from the previous administration will continue. So we're looking forward to getting that all up and running.
Excellent, excellent. And also, I guess, Hamill, because you guys also manage, because people think you're one trick pony. No, no way.
Yeah.
So you also are a real estate holdings, where you manage a number of the small businesses that are in that, as well as, I understand, up in where's that, in the Bronx. You have some stuff going on in I guess that's the Hunts Point Industrial Park.
Yeah, yeah. The genesis of HCC was pretty much a real estate company. At one point in time, we pretty much owned half of Harlem in terms of real estate. Over the years, that has whittled down, but we still have substantial real estate holdings that generate significant cash flow to help us to fund some of the businesses, fund the activities that we're doing. The Magic Johnson Theater is one example of a property that we own. Plus, we have, you mentioned Hunts Point. We have a significant amount of land that we lease out on a very long-term leases to very substantial companies like Amazon, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So, real estate has been kind of our fundamental underpinning that helps us to do what we're doing now. And we're also now looking, as we all know, there's a problem with homelessness in Harlem and New York
Hmm.
State. We have recently been certified by the U.S. Treasury as a CDE, which is a community development entity. And what that certification allows us to do is to participate in the New Markets Tax Credit Program. So we're looking, with a view to kind of use that as a vehicle to provide some supportive housing for our communities. So, we're confronted with the situation. You walk east from where we are up 125th Street, you can see what I'm talking about. It has gotten better with the presence of police officers, but we see that as just a band-aid for what we need to have some permanent solutions for our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate than we are, and
Hmm.
try to make things a little better for them. So, those are the types of things we're working on, and hopefully we'll be able to execute them with deliberate speed, as they say, once all the administration's underpinnings are in place, the new administrations, that is. From what we're hearing, they've been supportive of what we're proposing, so we're going to wait and see how it all unfolds.
Beautiful, beautiful. Um, Irene, the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, one of the particular products or services that you provide, I know certainly is Explore West Harlem. So, as a proud, of course, a resident of West Harlem and also a foodie, I love that you're able to highlight some of the culinary delights that make West Harlem unique. So, tell us about your experience and what do you have on the horizon for New York Women's Chamber of Commerce? Any special initiatives or programs? Tell me.
So about Explore West Harlem, I unfortunately missed the best of it. It's I
Oh,
joined the organization. I joined the chamber in 2021, as I mentioned. So it was the middle of the pandemic, and
hmm
we did do Explore West Harlem like event. We merged with a Harlem night. What's it called? Harlem
yeah, the
night
Harlem Night Market,
market. Market.
Uptown Night Market.
Uptown
Yes.
Night Market.
hmm
We did it that way. But no, we are bringing back Explore West Harlem, which is a sort of festival of food for all of our Harlem residents and also for the business owners in Harlem who sell all kinds of delicious food. And it's in the works. We're bringing it back. Luckily, this wave seems to be letting us be. It's gonna hopefully end this wave of the pandemic, and then we'll be back on the real Explore West Harlem train. Um, Wanted to mention, now that you asked me about other things that we do, listening to Gina and Hamil, I love those initiatives. I love the supportive housing initiative, which has nothing to do with this small businesses, but I also have a life in the social services sector. So yes, I agree, Hamil, and congratulations on that initiative. But for the small businesses, another thing we do is we also work with MWBEs. We have an MWBE certification program for any businesses who've been in operation for a year or more, who are minority owned or minority and women owned or women owned. We can help you. Our services are for free. We can assist, go through the certification process, which is given by the city. We do work with a lot of the programs in the city as well. I had mentioned state before, but we work with the city a lot for the MWBE. And also, there is also a grant I missed mentioning. There is also a grant for the city. It is paused in the moment. But if you call us about the state grant, we will also assess your eligibility for the city and be ready in case whenever it opens up. So I'm going to repeat our phone number just in case people are
Uh-huh.
interested. 212-491-9640. The New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. You can ask for me, Irene, or for Steve, or for Esteban. Those are the people who are working on these grants.
Ec- Excellent.
Apologies. We also provide a variety of services, just in general, just guiding people through any challenges in their businesses, and we can provide referrals to other services. So it's great to hear about my co-presenters today.
Excellent, excellent. So, Gina, now I remember, of course, you were instrumental in helping a number of the tenants that were in what is going to be the National Urban League project be I guess, housed somewhere. So, I need you to tell me about your experience in terms of what were some of the one-on-one advising that you were doing to these small businesses that were housed there.
I worked with Carta
Mm-hmm.
LLC
Mm-hmm.
and the Golden Cross location that was,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
both of which were housed there for over 20 years, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They have both since relocated to great locations. What I did for them is I wrote their business plans so that they would be eligible for a forgivable loan program issued
Mm.
by the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone.
Wow.
And I'm
Wow.
still working with the Golden Cross location, as well as I'm going to plug Hamil here. As a consultant for HCC, I was able to help facilitate marketing for the Carta location. This is
Wow.
something I really would love to see, this community of nonprofits that focus on the neighborhood business community come together and build really strong ecosystems, because together we'll get a lot more done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. You know what, Hamill? I had no idea whatever that that Gina was also doing that consulting there for HCC, but tremendous in terms of, let's say, getting that touch point with the small business community so that they actually know that, they have somewhere to
Yeah.
turn,
Yeah.
you know. And Gina, are you still doing some of your one-on-one counseling outside of, let's say, your what you're doing for HCC or Citizens NYC?
or NYUL. Well, my
Yes.
company itself, we for Idea Manufacture, we service entrepreneurs, mid-sized companies, as well as the nonprofit sector.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And Hamil, besides, of course, the folks that we see up front there, I understand that you have someone new heading up HEF. So do
Yeah.
tell.
And what
Well,
is
heading up our
HEF?
mark.
Oh, Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund.
So let me just say, HCC is our parent company, which has been in the community since 1967.
Wow.
HEF is our loan fund, which became a CDFI in 2008. Was started in 2007, became a CDFI in 2008, and
And what
that's
is the
where we.
CDFI?
A CDFI is a designation that you're given by the Treasury Department after they've vetted you to see that you meet all the criteria to be able to be trusted with loaning and collecting funds. So
Hmm.
it's a community development financial institution. That's the
Correct.
acronym.
Hmm.
So HEF, as it says, the loan fund. We've been around since 2008, so that's where we do our PPP loans, our regular loans, our credit builder loans, so on and so forth. And if you walk around Harlem, you talk to folks, everyone has heard or had some dealings with HCC because we also have another arm where we provide basic adult education, right?
Mm.
Again, financial literacy being one of the pillars of economic success, we see that goes hand in hand with access to capital. So when I came on board about 2 years ago, I was like, wow, we have a great franchise here, but we're not known as well as I thought we should be known. So we've looked around and we kind of had our fits and starts with the right personnel, but I think we found someone who is from Harlem to come in and join us and to kind of help us with our marketing efforts. So she came on board at the start of the year, and she was very instrumental in trying to get me on this program here with you, Curtis, and
Hmm.
NightWatchman. So
Hmm.
hopefully her efforts will continue to lead to more opportunities where we can showcase what we do at HCC and HEF.
Hmm.
One of the things that we're also looking to implement for the fall, this fall college season, is to develop an in-house college prep programs uh,
Wow.
for
Nice.
students in Harlem.
Hmm.
And this comes from my own experience. I have two kids. One just graduated from college, and one is graduating in May. But when they were
Nice.
going through the process, it was just very, very cumbersome for someone who's reasonably resourced that can go through the process. And it's like for folks that are disadvantaged, this will be a nightmare. So we're
Mm.
trying to get a program, and we're working with the Discovery Center at Columbia University and some other organizations like the Clinton Foundation to try to get a program in place where we can get the parents and the students at an early age to talk about the college process, the application process, and get them to even go out and visit some of these schools because some kids have never even been on a college campus. So we're
Wow.
trying to get all
Yeah.
those types of things in place to again to kind of stay firm to our commitment to financial literacy and access to capital.
Excellent. Excellent. Irene, tell us about some of the programs and services that New York Women's Chamber of Commerce has that, let's say, are not necessarily readily known or advertised.
All right, sure. So we have a big representation of small business owners who own beauty salons
Mm.
and barbers.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of technical assistance specific to that.
Mm.
So people who own those beauty salons, they get pretty targeted information, even like in terms of supplies and much more know-how and licenses that they need.
Hmm.
That's mostly in the Hispanic community, but also in the African American community here. We also have been doing a lot of guidance on the regulations that the city has for vaccination right now, for example, so that we can help people bring their businesses in line and in compliance with all the regulations that are coming out. It's really hard to navigate everything that's coming out. It comes out, something new comes out, it feels like every 6 months. So that's one of the things that we've been helping people with, and they've been really grateful to have that. You do have to fill out a self-attestation and publish it in your business right now, according to city regulations. So we help with that. And then for MWBEs, we have our MWBE Center, which has other services other than just the certification, which is important, but we also help people. Once they're certified, you need to get contracts, and that is also sometimes challenging. There are resources that the city provides in order to do that, but we also have special programming, meetings, for example, opportunities to network with city agencies so that you can understand better what each city agency needs, what each city agency is looking for, what kinds of procurement contracts there are. Navigating that kind of thing is also something that we do. We have our Contract Her program. I don't know if any of you has heard of it. It is a very successful program, very well designed. I cannot take credit. Kenya Abreu, the president and CEO of our organization, has designed it and has really done very well. I was lucky to participate in the first cohort when I came. Not the first cohort. We have had cohorts over the years, but my first experience with a cohort this year, and we had 25 women, a diverse group, and it was amazing how the women who attend this program, which is a 6-week course, I'm sorry, yes, a 10-week course, they meet every week. In this case, it was every Friday, and they learn about procurement options, how to market themselves to the city. They get to network with people we invite from the city. They also support each other, which was the best part of it, I think. We also had a fantastic moderator, and there is another element to this program, which is outside of the class time, you get to meet with someone one-on-one for specialized technical assistance, specialized on getting contracts, on getting yourself in the city systems, which are sometimes very hard to navigate. And this is just very, sometimes people just don't do it because they are a little hesitant to go into this payee information portal or passport systems. And once you have guidance for it, you go for it. And people have gotten contracts and sent out proposals from that program. And they've worked on their capability statements. And the best thing is that now they are a group who will always be for each other.
Nice.
We're still in touch. So I really like that program. Just thanks for the opportunity to talk about that.
Nice.
Curtis, before I finish, I just, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead.
So I'm interested in the neighborhood business grant. We are aware of it, but since I have Gina here, I would love to hear a little bit more about how do we determine eligibility? What kinds of businesses are you giving this grant to, so that we can also keep them in mind?
Oh, please do. So to be eligible for the neighborhood business grant, it must be a for-profit business with 10 or less employees. The business must be located in one of the 5 boroughs. There's no revenue cap for the business. We ask for a spend down plan that must match the narrative for use of funds. So if you're asking, if you talk about what you need it for and you break that down, then we want to see that. And it's a little quick math grid. We will also ask for proof of business ownership, as well as a snapshot of a monthly budget. Again, the neighborhood business grant at Citizens is prioritized for businesses owned by women, people of color and or immigrants, including undocumented immigrants who have been excluded from other vehicles that they're not eligible for when it comes to getting funding. We ask
Hmm.
that you also, to be eligible, think really, really hard about how you present your budget. And the most critical component is community engagement.
Yeah.
So we want to see how you engage with your community, what you've been doing, and how you present.
Gina, could that be like a salon owner who has a lot of events in their salon and are very welcoming to the community that could qualify? That person could
Absolutely,
qualify.
without a doubt. We really don't limit the type of business that applies. It can be an online business, a home-based business, or brick and mortar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very nice. See, this is what it's all about. It's all about sharing the information, the knowledge, and wisdom. And you know what? This also makes me think about this guy, Bob Poncé. I understand that he's also a entrepreneur, a small business owner. Bob, why don't you tell us about your journey?
Okay, my journey is long. It's a long and winding road, and we probably don't have enough time to talk about it. But I have been an entrepreneur since the mid '80s, when I left corporate America, and never looked back. So I've done a variety of different things in terms of consulting, and some of it's been financial industry based, and some of it's been marketing. But my current venture, which is What's Next Academy, is really about bringing people into the online space. Right now, uh, we have a new economy that's going on that's online, where you're not limited to customers that you can walk to or drive to. You've got the whole globe as potential a customer base. And so, but there's not a lot of curriculum in terms of how do you actually get on, how do you onboard, what are the dynamics of how to run a business virtually. And so that's what our focus is. And in particular, I'm very, very interested in the neighborhood grant program, because one of my target markets is kids coming out of high school, looking at college, which is college education is a great thing, but the unfortunate thing today is that the curriculum is not up to date with where things are in terms of the online and virtual space. And so there's a gap where people really need the information is changing in real time so fast that the traditional institutions can't really keep up with it. So there's a need for another type of education, and we're looking to provide that. So that's what we're doing.
Oh,
And
thank
thank
you,
you
Knight.
for asking. I don't really talk about it that much on the show. I don't, like many people, I don't want to use the show to self promote, but I think it's there's really an opportunity to create wealth and sustainability in our communities, and I'm excited about what all of you are sharing in terms of how we do that. So I actually want to flip it and ask the panelists questions, because in the
Hmm.
beginning we kind of framed it talking about all the new people who are coming in and becoming entrepreneurs. And I'd like to ask each of you, what is your advice for people who are really just getting started on their entrepreneurship journey?
Oh, I'll take that one first. One of the things that I would love to see more of, for emerging entrepreneurs, is to really do a deep dive in the ideation stage. A
Mm.
lot of, yeah, a lot of folks, it's not so much that about thinking small, but if you are going to open a salad bar,
Hmm.
put the salads in a vending machine in an office building. Like, I would like to see people continue to take it to the next level with regard to how they can further scale the business, especially out if they're brick and mortar outside of those confining walls.
Mm. I love that because I don't know. Now, I grew up in New York, so one of the things, and tell me, Night Watchman, if you remember this too, or you, Hamill, I know certainly, and that, of course, remember Horn and Hard Art.
Yes.
You remember that? Where literally you go in there and it's a large wall a vending machine, you could say, where I could get a sandwich, I could get a Coke, I could get whatever.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're right. And that is, Gina, as you say, next level for sure.
Yeah.
And Hamil, what do you observe?
You know, that's a very good question, because I always, I kid around. Before the pandemic took over, we used to have regular sessions, talking about various topics related to credit and people borrowing money, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And I would, being on a panel, I would, look out and I see very enthusiastic people, either who had started a business or, looking to start a business. And, in little break sessions, you will go up and you talk to anyone at random. And a question that I always ask people is like, okay, if they're already in a business, like, how do you make money? And the answers range from A to Z. A lot of it made no sense. And these, sometimes these people are in business. And I was like,
Right.
well, if you can't explain to me how you make money, that's a business that's not going to be very successful. So what I always encourage people to do when they're, looking to start a business venture or anything to make some money is understand exactly what the touch points are in terms of where you're going to be seeing a return in your investment, right? You
Mhm.
got to make money, depending on what business you're in. Are you making buying, selling, or in between? What exactly you're doing? And as you know, most small businesses fail. Most businesses in general fail. And
Wow.
the reason
Wow.
why they fail is because of management, because people really don't understand just the little nuances of understanding how you're going to make money. Of course, you got to, account for little unforeseen things. The
Mhm.
great Warren Buffett always, had a great quote that he would say, when the tide goes out, you can see who's swimming naked, right? But
Good
the
one.
tide just went out on all of us, and everybody was naked, right? So then what do we do? So it's always, those unforeseen events, like, you can't beat people up for that, but you got to have just the fundamentals down. Understand, how you make money, who you're selling to, and always have that cushion in there for that what if,
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
those are the types of things that I like to embed in people as they're looking to start a venture. Make sure that your business plan is tight. Go over it a number of times. Don't take it personal when somebody, that you give to read it come back and have a bunch of red marks all over it. It's only helping you to get better. So, you got to really understand, the little nuances of being a business. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but not everyone can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Irene, what types of things have you observed in your journey in assisting small businesses?
Oh, those that are, many people have started to think about new businesses during the pandemic.
Mm.
And they had fantastic ideas, and they're probably really good at what they do. But I agree with Hamil. Sometimes we need for them to also be able to determine how they're going to make the money, like do the
Mm.
calculations, right?
Mm.
But that's hard. People who are more established and have businesses sometimes are successful because they do very well what they do.
Mhm.
But we do see people in our financial. It sort of goes hand in hand with the financial education idea that Hamil was mentioning before. You do need those two to go together. In the financial classes that we have, some people do mention, oh, wow, I've been running my business for so long, but I never knew the basics about cash flow. So one thing I would advise is to get familiar with that kind of information as you are thinking of your business, so that you can calculate how you're going to make your money, and you can do a little bit of a market analysis. And there are a lot of resources out there, not just us. I'm sure my co-panelists also have resources, and just in the city in general, the city of New York, the Small Business Solution Centers, um, to help with that.
You know what? One of the things that also struck me, and that was when you were talking to Gina in terms of assisting, um, what's that, Golden Crust as well as Mr. Carter.
Mhm.
I can only imagine, especially with Mr. Carter, I know there was no business plan, correct?
Well, I wrote the business plan for him.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Oh yeah, a lot of people just hang a shingle out without putting together any type of business plan, you know, a lot of people don't feel that a business plan is necessary. I tell them it's like GPS in a car. It's a place from which to pivot. When you make the wrong turn and it says recalculating, I use that analogy for the business plan. You know, we plan, God laughs. So at the end of the day, write a plan, you can go back to it and rejig your strategy. Whereas if you have no plan, you're naked out there in the water. So yeah.
Well, Golden Crust now they had something because of their franchise or whatever. So did they have a model that you needed to follow, or was it completely different being the environment of Harlem? Tell me what that was like.
Well, they, you know, the Golden Crust overall, there's Golden Crust Corporate, which is the franchisor, and then the independent owners are franchisees. The franchisees follow that model, but I notice a lot of folks within that framework do not necessarily write business plans. And that's important, not just based on a proven product, but also you're marketing that product in various locations and target markets. So again, it's important, if not a full-blown business plan, to at least write a solid marketing strategy in that. And in both cases, I assisted both owners with their business plans.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
Well, Hamil over at HCC, you have the expertise, the nuts and bolts in terms of assisting one with, let's say, a business plan, a marketing plan. Tell me.
We do that in collaboration with the Small Business Solution Center that we have in our building. I don't have the staff to really dedicate full time to individual business plans, but I have taken the time out, when my schedule allows, to sit down with someone and say, hey, this is what we got to do. This is, we have a good example of a place in we funded during the pandemic and on Lennox, a rib joint. Very good concept, but it was a little here or there. So we sat down together and, we got a business plan where we needed to be to get it approved. And, that's one of the businesses that's doing very well, notwithstanding all the craziness with the pandemic. So
I think we had that. We might have had that owner on the show, if it's who I think it is.
Yeah. You talk Tito Trent.
Tito's. That's my man.
Yes.
Cecilia.
All right. Good.
That's some good ribs.
There.
Good ribs.
Yes.
Yeah, we
sure.
Pretty much. If you look, we finance all of the known restaurants in Harlem. If you go look at with their balance sheet, you'll see a loan from HEF in there.
Yeah.
It's, restaurants are risky business, but hey, we got to these are people that we believe in, and we worked with them, and we didn't pull back our loans.
Absolutely, and it's so funny that you mentioned that. Makes me think about our good friend, my Jeff Hamer, because literally there was not a restaurant that I could go into that they did not know him or he had not assisted with that. So
Jeff was one integral part of our SBS collaboration. We were very, very sad to lose him so early, but
yes,
that's life. Yeah,
absolutely. And Irene, tell us about you. Tell us about your assisting of the small businesses and what have you seen?
For in terms of business plans and in terms of startups?
Yes.
Yep. So we have right now a program going on with a partner organization that is precisely to offer startups and people who still have just an idea of a business in their heads, to offer them education about how to manage the finances of their business and marketing. And I'm also hoping that they will do a business plan. This is a very intensive education course. It's online. And what I've seen is that, and this is just, again, I'm coming back to the business world, and I'm feeling like this cohort effect, which works sometimes in other fields, might be helpful for building a business plan. We seem to all be in agreement that people need to have a business plan or something more structured for their businesses. And the big question is, how do you motivate them to do that? How do you get them to do that? Also without doing it yourself. So I am placing my bets in this cohort model, hopefully, but that's a question I would love to also hear other ideas on what is the best way to get people motivated to work on a business plan, because business owners are also, this is one of the things that I love about business owners. They are very energetic and motivated, and they have ideas. But then the nitty gritty is hard sometimes for them.
Yeah.
And how do we make it easy for them to do that? I'm hoping cohort a little bit and the guidance. But if there are other ideas, it would be great to
Well,
hear. I would be delighted with that discussion.
Well, I guess if you're Gina, you write the business plan for them, right?
Well, we do a little bit of both. We have a few models. One is in that particular case, and I wrote the business plan, but it's like writing. It's co-writing. I'm taking their thoughts, their ideas, and I'm putting it on paper. So that's one model of getting it done. The Lillian Project, we had 6 successful cohorts, and I would say out of those cohorts, about 125 women that actually finished the program. Today,
wow.
Over 50% of them are still in a phase of business, crawling, walking, or running. So they are actively pursuing business still.
Beautiful.
So it does work. This cohort that will take off at the New York Urban League, Black Business Matters. But that's for people who are in pre-start, not existing businesses. But the back office initiative at the New York Urban League, we are consultants for those that needed a refreshed business plan, work side by side with those small business owners to write the business plan. So they were actively writing, but while listening to the small business owner, they were interpreting their words and getting it down on paper. So there are ways of getting it done.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have some closing remarks. We're going to close it out. Let's go around. Gina, give us some closing thoughts and also how they can reach you.
Well, I can be reached at gbr@ideamanufacture.com. And from there, you can get to all the other resources. Closing remarks, for all business owners, whether you are in ideation stage or a mature business, think global, not just local.
But nice. All right. Hamil, do tell.
I would say to get in touch with me, we have a website both for HCC and HEF. My closing remarks are, small businesses are the backbone of our economy.
Nice.
Let's together collectively partner with each other to help small businesses, but also let's not take our eyes off of financial literacy, because that's a fundamental step in understanding how to write a business plan, how to present your business plan case, and how to, if you're successful in attracting capital, how to manage and deploy that capital to make your business a success.
Excellent. Irene.
So my closing remarks would be just the business owners are very talented people. I wish you the best, and keep working on what you're working. Keep your eyes open. There are special programs right now because of the pandemic. Keep your eyes open. Take advantage of them. Use organizations like the ones that are here today to help you out. And yes, thank you for displaying my phone number, 212-491-9640. Feel free to call us at the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. And it's been a pleasure to share the stage with Hamil and Gina.
Beautiful. NightWatchman, take us home, buddy.
You've been listening to Soul Lounge Primetime. Small business experts jump in the water. It feels fine, but have some clothes on. In other words, do your business plan. Go, this show will be archived on YouTube and Facebook. Go back and listen to it and take notes. Share this information with friends. Like and subscribe. We are on WHCR 90.3 FM at 7 p.m. on Mondays, and at 8 o'clock you can find us streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for joining us, and stay well and stay safe.
Got it. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Take care. Be well, guys. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you for the invitation.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.